So let's do this. I am so excited. We have our very first kid co-host, William, with us. Yay! That's you. And this is Valerie. For those of you who don't know, Valerie is a plant-empowered coaching program graduate from quite a while ago, and you've co-hosted several. You co-hosted our first Facebook Live, didn't you?
Yeah. This is my third one, and yeah, it was the first one. Yep.
Yes, and I'm wondering if Rachel, there's a 30-second delay, so it's a little tricky communicating with everybody, but I'm wondering, Rachel, do you have kids? How many? At what age they are? I'd love to hear about that as well. And William, how old are you? This many? How many is that? 5?
Okay.
5.
Yeah,
5.
right.
Awesome.
But not 5.5 at your birthday, right?
Yeah, at my birthday it'll be 5.5.
Wow. Oh, very exciting.
We
So
don't have the same birthday.
okay. Rachel has 2 kids, 17 and 10, so they're a little older. We'll be chatting about that as well. We're gonna, a lot of what we're gonna talk about is with the younger kiddos, just because that's your experience, Valerie, and I really want to hear about your experience because you've had such success with transitioning your whole family to the vegan lifestyle. Jamie's on as well. We've got Jamie, said he is so beautiful. Yes, he is. So Valerie, I just want to get started and really just hear about your story. For those of you who haven't seen any of our other lives where you've been on, can you just do a brief kind of intro of why you came into the program in the first place, and then a little bit about your journey?
Sure. So I had lost the weight that I wanted to lose, but the way that I was maintaining it, it was working and I figured I could live with it, but it was a bit obsessive, right? I was tracking everything in my Fitness Pal and tracking all of my steps and everything. And so I would find myself exercising to eat and then eating because my burn said I could, regardless of how I was relating to it. And it was it didn't feel natural, or like it had a flow. So I joined up to the program, and that's when I went vegan last February 14th on Valentine's Day. And then my family joined me a few months later, right? Yeah.
So cool. Awesome. And I had so much fun working with you, Valerie. You just came into the program and followed, the steps and put a lot of trust in me and the program itself, and it worked out really well. You had such success.
It definitely changed my life and our lives. We're very grateful. My husband is, my kiddo is, for the way that we're able to, eat in a way that sort of aligns with our values, makes us feel closer to everybody else on the planet, whether they have 2 feet or 4 or wings, and get a feel for that. Plus, do we love our food that we eat? Is it yummy? Answer the question. Don't stare at me. Yes, we do.
Because this is what I do when I eat vegan stuff.
What do you do? Oh, is that a big smile?
Yeah.
And look at my eyes.
Big eyes, yes.
Big eyes. And I remember just not long ago, William, you sending me a couple pictures of something that you made for your dad. Did you make something for your dad's birthday?
Remember when you made the Nutella and you said it was birthday food because it was so good? Yeah.
I knew you wanted to send pictures. So Valerie, do you want to tell us did they transition with you? Did you make the transition and then tell us how that worked for you?
It's so easy.
It's so easy. I made the transition, and then my husband actually got some feedback about his cholesterol numbers, and they were going to put him on medication. And he said, you know what, give me a minute, and then he ate the way I did for a little while. And after a month or so, his cholesterol numbers were completely normal. He's really enjoying the way he eats. He says he doesn't miss the old stuff at all. And he really, I'm so blessed. You know, he really jumped in on it with me and did the education around it and everything. So he's becoming a spice king with the food as well.
Oh, nice. That's not so bad for you either, huh?
Exactly.
Awesome. And then how did you guys together help with William, or how did that work?
Well, you know, we provide his food, so there's that, you know, and we introduced to him about what's healthy food. Not yet. So we introduced to him about what's healthy food and everyday food and what's sometimes food, and we talk about, you know, the animals and why we don't eat our friends. And so he's really taken to it. You know, he'll go to school and they'll have a snack and he'll ask if it's vegan, or, you know, he'll go to a party and ask to make sure that he's not having any animals in his food or drink.
Wow. That, you know, that seems like such an empowering way, you know, the way you did it in terms of the education component and helping them understand. I mean, he's only 5 years old, yet he was completely capable of grasping those concepts and starting to embody them with you guys. So that's just pretty incredible.
Yeah. And William, what face do you make when you see commercials or something that have like animal burgers on them or something? What's your face? Gross, right?
Yeah.
Yuck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was there anything that he missed or asked for that you had to kind of deal with?
Yeah, I mean, he asked about cheese a few times. You know, he was sort of a cheese hound, but now, I mean, he loves all the cashew cheeses, and we make the sauces and everything. So we were able to replace things. And then if there was anything he didn't like as much, you have to sort of try things a lot of times before you love them. And now he really eats basically everything. He likes spicier food than I do too. You use Tabasco and Frank's Red Hot stuff? Yeah. So just having them try the stuff over and over. And then for him, what was really key was giving him a little control over his food. So we have things available on the counter, fruits and nuts and things that he can reach and make for himself. And then helping him to celebrate the food with us by preparing it with us. I hear that. So we have some marinated tofu in the oven that's just going off now.
Wow. Making marinated tofu, baked tofu, how cool.
Yeah, he can. I think he's going to go get daddy so they can check on it.
But, well, let me ask you this, Valerie. If and you know, this is kind of a what if, but if your husband hadn't have gotten on board with you, had you thought about what that was going to mean and how that was going to work?
Right, for as far as being co-parents for our son?
Yes, and feeding him.
Yeah, so he was basically eating with my husband a lot of the time because I go to work and my husband stays home. So we were introducing in the stuff I was eating because it is, you know, a lot healthier. We do mostly whole foods, right? So introducing more of that, taking out some of the other junk. And then when my husband switched, they sort of switched over entirely together. So it was a progression and then a big jump. Yeah.
You got it. And one thing we were talking about, I know, and my mother has her master's degree in early childhood development, and she's raised 4 children. And you know, one thing that she talked about, because I was asking her, you know, what would your tips be, just from knowing kids as well as she does, and she's very good at conscious parenting, and she said, well, you know what, your parents are the parents. Like you make rules about the house and your kids follow them, are expected to follow them. You say no drugs in the house, no alcohol in the house. So if you make food in the house that is plant-based and you put it down in front of them, they get to either eat it or not, right? But they're not going to starve.
No, they're not going to starve. They won't let themselves. So if they think they're hungry only for a certain thing, that's not the same as being actually hungry and being able to eat healthy stuff. So, and we have approached it from a place of the fact that a lot of us have sort of abused dieting and stuff so that we don't relate to our bodies as well. But his little body is so smart, right? It knows. So we've tried to just say, you know, you check in with your body. Are you hungry? Are you full? And letting him say, you know, I'm hungry right now, I'd like a snack, and honoring that. Or if he says that he's done eating, you know, honoring that as well.
And
Right?
and when we go to restaurants, when I'm full, I tell mom I'm full, and then we stop eating.
Yeah, because mommy still has trouble regulating a little bit. So he helps remind me to check in and not just, you know, eat the whole vegan pizza, right?
Wow, that's another really important point, because, you know, everyone who's going through the coaching program has really lost touch with their bodies and their body's needs, because we're so used to listening to meal plans, listening to, you know, measurements or calorie counting or tracking macros or whatever it is, and ignoring what our body's actually telling us. So until you get a grip on that, until we get a grip on that as parents, I'm not a parent, I'm a parent to a fur baby, which is good for me. But, you know, that's important to be able to instill that in a child from that young an age, to really pay attention and be conscious and mindful and listen to your body. And because you're right, they know they're already there.
Yeah.
They swayed otherwise, but if you can really make them conscious of what they're already doing, then they cannot be swayed by the media and by all these things that got all our clients and myself included into a jam, because we were in the diet mentality for so long.
Yep. And I think they've actually done studies where they look at kids and they say, you know, because people worry about having super well-rounded meals or making sure you have the right fat and the right protein and whatever, but they found that if they just put healthy food out and kids were allowed to sort of self-feed, they find the balance on their own. They might go a little heavier on one thing, a little heavier on another thing another time, but they find that balance because they're still connected with, you know, their mindfulness and intuition around food. Yeah.
Right. They're already connected. We help disconnect them usually, and the society helps disconnect them. So if we can keep them connected and be conscious of that, that's so, I mean, just imagine having grown up in that environment like you know, what he's getting now, and how life would have been so much different.
They can hear us, you know. I know.
William, do you have a favorite, all-time favorite vegan food?
What is your favorite? Is it a healthy food or a sometimes food?
Healthy food and sometimes.
Okay, what is it?
The non-healthy food is the thing that you bring from the cupcake thing that you bring from Susty's.
Oh yeah, we go to a restaurant and they have some vegan desserts. Okay, and what's your favorite healthy food?
Watermelon.
Watermelon.
Oh, yum. I had some watermelon this morning. So good.
So good. And he loves it. His favorite, what's your favorite vegetable? Remember you told me to roast some for you? He loves broccoli. He loves broccoli.
And I like it only cooked.
Only cooked, okay.
Because
Because what? Okay.
Because what did I say?
I don't know. You think about it.
Tofu.
Oh, you like tofu. You like it with tofu.
I mean, no, broccoli.
You like broccoli with tofu?
No.
Okay. So anyway, he likes some of the healthy
He likes food. He likes vegan food. It's fantastic. I'm wondering, Rachel, are you already vegan, and have your kids made the transition, and how are you handling that? I'd love to just hear if Rachel is still there and wants to comment.
I like it only cooked because I like the juice coming out of the leaves.
The juice that comes out of that top part. Good stuff. Yeah.
It's so funny on the event. I didn't even know about the broccoli, but I talked about on the description. Don't we all wish our kids would drool over kale and broccoli? Sure enough, yes. And was that did you like broccoli and all these things before you went vegan? You always liked broccoli?
Not really. Not really. So, and I think another good thing to hit on is that, you know, as adults, we have certain things that we're a little more careful of, things like, you know, a lot of fats or a lot of whatever. And it's sort of opposite for kids a little bit. They've got these little tummies. And so He eats a lot more nuts and nut butter than I do, but he's able to sort of regulate that. So he'll get up in the morning and he'll make himself like an Ezekiel wrap with banana and peanut butter on it and stuff like that. And that's sort of a great starter meal for him. And he eats like a horse. It's hard to tell by looking at him, but boy, this kid can put away some food. Lara bars? What'd you eat, 6 Lara bars at lunch the other day?
Apple pie bars.
The apple pie Lara bars, yeah.
Lara bars, those are delicious.
Sriracha cashews, that was an interesting lunch.
That was 300 calories.
3,000 calories probably, yeah.
Oh yeah.
How many?
About that.
Calorie dense, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, so cool. Rachel said, oh, wow, kind of big question. I was vegan for 2 years. Family joined me as vegetarians for 1.5 of those years, but have been back to animal products the last 1.5 years, but not in alignment with values. Okay, so you're on your journey, Rachel, and the kids. I think that's, you know, one of the main things is that you got to get good with you first, right? And really establishing, and these are all the things we do in the Plant Empowered Coaching Program, like really acknowledging what your values are, what you really care about, what's important to you in your life, and then being able to love yourself and respect yourself and your values enough to make those conscious decisions that are in alignment, because we know how freaking amazing it feels to live and act in alignment with our values and to move through the world in that way. It's just such a freeing feeling. For me, it's a freeing feeling. How do you feel about it, Valerie?
Exactly. I mean, I think that when you deal with the why you're doing it, the how sort of you don't need to worry about as much. So if you're saying, I'm going to eat only this food and those are my rules, those are rules that can be broken or not. But when you have that why that you're doing it, and when you're attached to your values, there are certain things that no longer are food anymore, right?
Yes.
So it's just not even an option. So since I switched over to being vegan, I have never been tempted by any animal product at all. I'm sure that's not the same quite for everybody, but it switched over for me immediately. I have been tempted and have gone to less healthy stuff from time to time, but that's my line. It's like, if it's not vegan, I'm not touching it, right?
And that's also the thing, like, where are your kids now, right? Are they eating standard American diet, a lot of processed foods, a lot of sodium, a lot of sugar, you know, all those things we have to detox from, and that's a tough thing to do. So if we are detoxing first and really going through that, and then being able to guide our family through it is really important, to be able to be really sure in what you're doing. The parent has to be good with what they're doing first to be able to be confident enough to put that energy out there for their kids to pick up, right? Kids pick up on energy so much.
They do.
And your attitude is just so positive around the food. And I've seen pictures, and you make it fun and you love it and you get excited about nutrition and eating in alignment with your values. So all of that whole package, I think it's a package deal. Like, you have to have that energy as along with the words and the actions. It all goes together. So important. Jamie said for sure they pick up quickly. Yeah. So Jamie, Ellis is he? He's not 5 yet, is he? Jamie's about the same. Very similar, close in age to William, and she's had a very similar success story to you with your family. And
wait.
do you have any, while we're on this topic about families in general, what was your plan in your head? Were you focused when you came into the program and said, this is what I need to do for me? Is that what you focused on, and not even quite worried about the family yet, or your husband, what he was going to do? How did you do that? Because that's something that's really difficult for most people to do.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I focused on myself and figuring out, really educating myself, focusing on my mindset and my values. And then, I would mention, to even years before, I would mention to my husband, do you think we'll ever, stop eating meat or stop whatever because of the environment and health and whatever? And that was before I really knew a lot of the stuff that I know now. But I'm a big proponent of being the example, not if you go into someone's face and tell them why they should be eating this over that or whatever, they're immediately going to shut down. But if you're an example and people ask what you're doing and you just say, oh yeah, well, I eat mostly whole foods and I'm on a vegan lifestyle, and, then they make their decision, but that's more approachable, right? Yes. For them. So.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny because I was chatting with my mom about our live today, and she said, well, for our family, it was the opposite. She said, you are the one who went vegetarian and vegan first, and the family followed. And I said, oh yeah, it didn't even occur to me that that's how that works. So I know that there are families out there where the kids are the ones who are prompting this. And then there's which is a whole other, it's a whole other Facebook Live, because that's a whole nother thing. I went vegetarian at 7, and I don't really remember how I interacted with my family about that. But my mom said, you said, here's how I'm going to eat, and I'll eat sides, or I just picked and chose what I ate off the table, and it wasn't ever the animal. And she said, I thought you'd eat chicken and fish, maybe just not red meat. But no, I was like 0 animals. All of those are animals. I said, no way. And it was a few years later down the road that my little sister, and my dad went vegetarian after that. And it was, I guess I was leading by example. Kids can lead by example too.
Absolutely.
I heard you had a sister.
Yeah.
Yep.
You heard she had a sister? He said he heard you had a sister.
Got a sister who has 2 vegan babies now, 6 months and 2.5 years old. Jamie said, I feel like when we are at ease with telling people, they become at ease. I think that's so important. And just from a personal standpoint, I've just, since I was 7, been so sure of my decision that it's not a big deal. It's like, here's how I live. This is very clear to me, and it makes me happy. And to be able to just really be the example in a very positive way. People start asking, and they would ask at the gym when I got older, how'd you get lean and how'd you get muscles? And I'd be like, I'm vegan. And they'd be like, what?
Oh God.
This was 15, 16 years ago, and nobody even knew what the word vegan was that I was around down in Miami, at least. Rachel said, I love that idea of being a living example rather than preaching it. Much more loving, compassionate, and approachable, much more likely to help the animals that way too. 1,000%. And it's tough, for new vegans. It can be really tough. When I was 15 and was old enough to do the research, and I learned about the cruelty, that's where the anger can set in and for people. And it's so easy, if we don't have a grip on our emotions, to let that get the best of us, which is not in the best interest of animals, people, or the planet. So we have to, it's up to us to get good with our emotions, to be okay with it and say, how am I going to strategically present myself so that it's going to give the best example? Because that ultimately, and it may take a little longer for somebody to go vegan, but if they do it for the right reasons, if they do it for themselves with you as the inspiration, they're going to be lifers, right? And that's the important part.
I remember, I don't know if you remember, we had a phone call during the program, and I remember saying, I feel like I'm on fire and I just want to go out. I can't believe how much I didn't know that it is the food over so many things, particularly my health. I lost over 100 pounds and I was on tons of medication for different issues, and I'm not on anything now. And I just feel like, how do we not all know this? How did no one tell me this before? And I felt like I was on fire and I wanted to tell everyone, and it was so intense. And it was really hard to hold back. Now I'm, a lot better at holding back, but it's such a revelation. So whenever someone seems a little open to it and they ask questions, they are in for, if they want to talk for several hours, I'm good to go. Right. But you can't go in there. You have to let them make the decision for themselves, respect them as human beings, because if you just tell them, then whether or not they decide, it's like, who's winning, right? And it can't be about that.
Right. Yep. It's not about right. It's about you know, I think that that was such a good point you just made in terms of people have to be open. They have to be ready to open their minds enough to learn new information, because once you know, you don't know. Once you know, you know. Like, there's no going back, and a lot of people aren't ready to know.
No.
Which is, it's frustrating for the people that know, because we're like, don't you want to be enlightened? Don't you want this information that's going to, you know, heal you, that's going to keep you healthy for a lifetime, that's going to heal our planet and save animals from suffering and death? Like, don't you want to know that? And so, you know, everyone in the Empowered Vegan Life group, what I love about this group is that not everybody's vegan yet. We've got a lot of people that have been vegan a long time. There are a lot of people that are just at the very beginning of that transition. And this is a safe space. You know, this group is a safe space for everybody to come in and ask questions and receive support without being judged. And kind of, so we can meet you where you are and then help you along your way in the most powerful way possible. So that's what I love about the Empowered Vegan Life group. That's what I love about the Plant Empowered Coaching Program. I mean, one of the thousands of things I love about the Plant Empowered Coaching Program. So, you know, you guys, I am doing some free breakthrough sessions right now. I'm actually doing them myself. I'm getting on the phone. These sessions are to really dive into where you're struggling, where you feel stuck, to get to the bottom, get to the root of that, and then look at where you want to get to, that vision of what you want life to look and feel like, how you want to operate, how you want to move through the world. And then once we establish those two things, I'll know if the program will help you close that gap. And if that's the case, we talk about the program, I answer all your questions, we can go that route. If it's not the right fit, if I don't feel like, you know, my program's going to get you to point A to point B, then we're not even going to go there, and I'm going to do my best to point you in another direction. That's what I did with Valerie, and that's what I do with everybody. This program is packing full this month, so we've got just a few spots left. Jamie, anything that you'd like to say to people that are kind of on the verge, that feel a little nervous about making that step of booking a call and, you know, maybe exploring the route of a 6-month program that's going to really transform their entire lives?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You said Jamie. I was like, where's Jamie? Yeah, that's okay. I thought we were waiting for you to type in. So yeah, I would say that I am so grateful for that call that we had about 15 months ago. My life looks so different. And we literally had that exact call and decided on it. And I was scared and hesitant and excited and like you said, we dove in. So I would say my life is just so different. And it's not, you know, what we find out is that it's not just the food. The food is almost the easiest part, but my mindset has changed so much, and my life has opened up in my career and in my family for greater opportunity and for greater love and connection. So it was huge. So, and again, I know I say this every time, but thank you so much for that. It's been transformative. How about it? Yeah.
All right, well, William, I'm so glad you hopped back on, because we are wrapping up. Thank you for joining us and sharing, and
Goodbye.
goodbye, William. I will put you guys the link to schedule that call in the description here when we get off. So, you know, if this is something, you can be nervous all you want, but do it anyway. Get it done. A day turns into a week, turns into a year, turns into 10 years, right? Let's get unstuck now. So thank you so much, Valerie. Thanks, William. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we will see you next time, next Thursday.
Was that good tofu?
Yum.
Yeah. Legoland. You wanted to say it. Okay.
Now you can go to Legoland. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.